Three, two, one. All right, today on this edition of Not Just Nonsense, we're talking to retired police officer Joe Friday.
How you doing?
And also, we're going to have another special guest
Yes,
with Bonita
hi.
here.
I'm Bonita.
Today, we're going to be talking about police
Mm.
officers, and we're going to have some firsthand accounts delivered to us. So, we're going to try and hit on some topics. So, we have some questions for him, and also because we want to kind of bridge the gap, and there's been a lot
Mhm.
of stigma towards police officers recently, and we just want to get a firsthand account.
Mhm.
And we have, like I said, some questions lined up, and we just want to see how he would approach them. And if Bonita, if you have anything,
Yes.
I think she wanted to touch on family violence law, so we
Mhm.
can we can see how that was going to happen. All right, so let's get into this. So how many years have you been a cop?
27 years, and I'm currently commissioned. So far, I'm retired now, but I am currently commissioned. Um, and I am just gonna try and explain and maybe get across to the public why officers do certain things the way they do it,
Mm.
why they approach vehicles, you know, the way officers do it. Um, this is maybe you can get an understanding what it's like uh, as a police officer
Mhm.
versus citizen.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, that'd be good because I know a lot of one of the main things that come up is whenever people are walking on the street and they say, "Hey, a cop stopped me for no reason," they're just discriminating. So, what would give the cop authority to approach someone on the street and then ask for their ID?
Well, all depends on the totality of the situation at the time, the location, what
Mhm.
happened. If an officer just stops a person because he's running, or he has to have what we call reasonable suspicion first as to why to stop this person and identify him. If nothing happened in that area, it's a great neighborhood during the
Mhm.
day, nothing happened, and the officer approaches this person. Hey, uh, let me have your ID. What's going on? What are you doing? Oh no, I'm just walking home. What's it? Let me see some ID. And he says, then you can refuse to give him an ID, you know. But if he says, look, man, I need your ID because there was a burglary that just happened maybe an hour ago or 3 hours ago, and you fit the description.
Hmm.
So
Mm.
this is why I'm stopping you now
Mhm.
and identifying you.
So, if I'm just walking on the street, a
Or
cop can't just come up to me and say, "Hey, give me your ID."
no, I mean you have a hoodie on. It's at night and you're running.
Hmm.
You know, now something has to have happened in that certain neighborhood. There's been several burglaries, and one of the description was that the guy had a hoodie, and he was running at night. So maybe he just burglarized a house or something, or he broke into a car or something. There's
Mm.
there's a lot of reasons why an officer can stop somebody that's running because certain things happen around that area. If nothing did happen around that area, then officer shouldn't stop you and identify you.
Mm.
And you can always refuse if a lot of times the officers will know because usually a citizen won't ask. Well, I don't want to identify myself. I don't want to give you the information. Yeah, why are you stopping me? Why are you approaching me and asking for my identification? What have I done? What probable cause do you have or reasonable suspicion, to be able to stop me and ask for this information? And the officer's supposed to tell you why. There's no such thing as, well, let me have your identification first, and then I'll tell you.
Hmm.
Mm.
No.
What about in a traffic stop? Because I know I've seen some videos where there's a traffic stop happen and the cop comes to the window and the guy said, "Hey, why'd you pull me over?" And the cop says, "I don't have to tell you that. Just give me your ID."
No, that's not professional. That's not being professional. Um, First, every time I would make a traffic stop, I would tell them immediately, "Hey, the reason, sir, this is the reason I stopped you is because you're going 70 and a 50.
Mhm.
I need to see your driver license and proof of liability insurance." So that eliminates the oh, let me have your license now, and then I'll tell you later. Well, now an officer's creating a situation there. You know, yeah, officers have a lot of power, and they can ruin citizens, by arresting them, and then now the citizen has to, of course, hire attorneys and all this to prove themselves that they're innocent or anything that happened, even if it's a regular um, Class C misdemeanor. But yeah, officers. I've heard officers where they make a traffic stop and they go like, "Do you know why I stopped you?" Well, that kind of makes it sound like, well, if you don't know, he says, I don't know either. So just, I wish officers would just approach the vehicle and tell them, hey, the reason I stopped you is because of this, that, and then you move on. And the officer tells them, I need to see your driver license and proof of liability insurance. And by that point, the driver has to show you his driver license or proof of liability insurance.
Oh man. All right, so there you go. Be sure to always show your ID when they ask for it. Did you have a question for him, Bonita?
Yes.
Or any topic you'd like for him to touch on?
I wanted to talk more about family violence law
The family violence law.
and how that changed policing for you or
Oh yeah, that's
for your
the family
colleagues.
violence. Now, I'm speaking for myself here, but I'm sure most of the officers will agree to this. Even if you stop and you ask an officer, "Hey, what are the worst kind of calls you can make?" I'm sure they'll probably say a family violence call, a 911 family violence call. Uh, I've had people ask me that, and I says I'd rather go to a bank robbery. You know, let's say they call and they say, "Hey, you got two bank robbers. They're robbing a bank right now. Okay, so you go in there, you're ready. You already know what's going on. You have your gun drawn. You have two suspects in the bank, and they're probably holding people hostage, or if they're not, the fact is that you already know what you are going to, you know what you're going into. And a family violence, you don't know what's really going to happen. You know, and this family violence started. The family violence law started around 1992, and that changed a lot. It gave officers a lot of power to be able to enter a home as long as it was a 911 call or a family violence call. If they didn't answer the door, then you could break the door to gain access to your house. That's how powerful that is. A very dangerous situation. Officer can go in and everything can be calm, and the husband or the boyfriend that lives there, before the family violence law, officer had to see the assault happen. And with the family violence laws, officer doesn't have to see that. He can just determine whether the wife or the husband was beaten or hurt or assaulted in any way. Then the officer can immediately arrest that person, to make sure that the spouse or the other couple or boyfriend or girlfriend is safe at home. So we have the authority now to make that arrest, under family violence law. And officers have a lot of power with that, you know, and the power that we have is to be able to help the person that's in danger. Because back in, I think it was like 1990, they had a female somewhere, and I can't remember exactly where in Iowa, and uh, she she called the police several times, and because police couldn't do anything about it, they would go into the house. Well, look, he beat me. You know, her face is beaten all black and blue, and that the husband beat her or the boyfriend beat her. Actually, this at this time it was a husband beat her, and she says I fell. So we could not make that arrest. Police officers could not make that arrest before family violence. We had to see the assault happen, or she had to go and file a complaint, against the assault, and that's what happens. We have a lot of power now to go ahead. Now we can determine under family violence. Oh my gosh, she was beaten. Whatever, we'll go ahead and take him in. And in this case, this girl, called several times, and maybe in about 6 months, she may have called, hang up 911, hang up 911, hang up, but we didn't have the authority to make an arrest. We had to see what happened. She never wanted to go in and press charges against him. So therefore, she ended up getting killed by her husband, and then that's when they passed this family violence law. After that, a couple of years after that, yeah. So I'm not sure if I
Yeah,
answered your
no, you
question
did.
or not.
You did.
Okay.
You did. Thank you.
All right, let's see. So, what would you define as as excessive force in a case? Or like, do you have any examples of that, or someone using excessive force, or what's justifiable?
Okay, excessive force, and this is where it changed a lot of things for Officer Two, the Rodney King.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't know. They did cross the line in the Rodney King. That was view the video. That was excessive force. I mean, but I'm not excusing those officers, but at the end they did decide to. You know what? Let's just beat the hell out of this guy. For what he did. But if you were to see the videos from the beginning, which we had access to, and the public doesn't because the media doesn't, if it's not you know I'd say profitable for them or
Fit
not.
the narrative.
Yeah, yeah. Well, to be able to gain,
Yeah, the
like
views for it.
views, popularity, or whatever. They didn't show exactly what happened in the beginning, where he starts to assault officers. He knocks two or three officers down, and then they tase this guy, and he doesn't respond to that. So he beat up about three officers before he took off, and the chase went off. So that's what happened. He had already beat up three officers, and took off, and then there was a pursuit. You know. Then he gets off again, and they tase him several times, and he's still fighting with officers. You know, they tased him about maybe 4 or 5 different officers, and he was still fighting them. So when he was finally down, and I don't think he was cuffed. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember, but yeah, they still beat the crap out of him. So yeah, they should have just okay, the beating to a certain point. Once they subdue this guy, you can go ahead and handcuff him. But you may see 4 or 5 officers on top of one guy, and that's happened with me in the situation. The guy breaks the handcuff chain. While I'm taking him in the car to get arrested, and then once we get into the county jail, of course he's on PCP and a little cocaine and marijuana, and yeah, they're like pretty strong. We busted the chains on the handcuff, and he fought about 5 of us, trying to get him back handcuffed again. Take the old handcuffs off, and then put the other ones on. Yeah, he fought us. That was 5 of us, and he was about 5'4", maybe 190 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang, fought off 5 police officers.
Yeah. Mhm.
Man.
Yep. 4 county jails and me.
Gee.
Yeah.
So whenever you were patrolling, did you always have a partner, or
No, no. When I started, yeah, I had a partner, but then after that, your turn away on your own. You complete the field training officer, uh, and you're on the streets.
So would you patrol small town or a big city?
We did a small town when I started, and then went to the big city.
How big was the? All right, so let's compare the two. So we started in the small town. How big was the population? But roughly.
The population in a small town was about 3,200 people in a small town.
And in your experience, did you have more crime in the small town? Was it harder in the small town or harder in the big town?
The
city.
The large city was 1,000,000. Yeah, and I
A million what?
the population.
Oh, okay.
The population was about 1,000,000, and the small town was about 3,500 people. Yeah, and I was in a lot more danger in the small city. A lot of people think like, oh, you left to the big town. Now it's pretty safe over there. I mean, now it's worse over there on the big town. It's probably worse, and nothing really happens in a small town. In a small town, like, way. Now that at first I thought, I'm kind of, I was kind of nervous going into a big city, but things were not the same. It's a lot more dangerous in the small town than the city. The big city, you have a lot of officers, and when you respond to anything, you have a lot of backup. In a small town, when I started, you were on your own. One officer patrolled the city, which you would also help out the surrounding cities, small town cities. You would also help out. You had 2 county officers for a whole county, and it's a large county where I was stationed at. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 little cities around it, and you're the only one. If you needed backup, your backup was 9, 10 miles away, and you would do a family violence situation on your own. And in a large town, uh, there was because an officer got killed going into a family violence, and I'm talking family violence because I believe that is the worst call you can make, or serving warrants too. But yeah, in a large town, the chief, after a couple of officers got killed under family violence calls, then he made, it was policy that no officer could go into a family violence call unless there was 4 officers there, you know, and this was in a large city. In a small, can't do that. You're on your own. And family violence in a small town doesn't mean that it's safer than a family violence in a large
Yeah.
town. The argument, the husband that's upset and is a violent person can be the same in a big town. Yeah, then it's the same. The same family violence, as far as what can happen, is the same in a large town and a small town. You know, but yeah, it was a small town. I believe it was harder to police because you're on your own. You had to make the arrest on your own. You stop the drunk driver and he gets belligerent, combative, and all that, and you're on your own. In a large town, you have backup right away. So yeah, I drew my weapons, fired my weapons, got into really heated situations because you're on your own, and yeah, and thanks to my training, that I survived all of that. Thanks to my training and also not only my training but practicing it, you know, and remembering it. That has a lot to do. That's why a lot of times officers approach a citizen or a suspect with being very cautious now. A lot of citizens believe, well, why do you have to have his hand on his gun?
Yeah.
When he stopped me, that's at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and officers been shot. State troopers been shot. Officer been stopped, shot, killed on a traffic stop. 92-year-old man gets out of his car and guns down a state trooper. The state trooper turned his back on him. He's 92 years old. The old man just decided, like, hey, I'm done with this, and kills the state trooper.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
So I don't know.
So how did you have to deal with did you ever get called into family violence cases and you were alone and it was like hostile? Or?
Yes. I would be called into a 911 family violence and weapons involved, and you walk into that house alone like that. Yep. And they can hear in the background. They let you listen to where the woman calls 911 and leaves the
phone off the hook.
The phone off the hook, and you can hear what's happening. You can hear her screaming. You can hear there's 2 or 3 guys there, and they're upset because she had called the police, but they didn't see the phone was off. So you hear all that, and you have to go in the house, and you're the only officer. Yeah, so that's pretty tough. Yeah. So you go in there, and you already go in, kicking the door in or trying to gain access to the door. I mean, to the house, and you go in, you start pointing guns. Your guns are everywhere, just making sure you're clear. And a lot of times, they're pretty civil when you walk in. They're pretty calm, and then all of a sudden, everything just goes south. Yeah, but yeah, I've had several of those where they're screaming and hollering. You can hear the background where he's actually the little boy or little girl, the daughter, picks up the phone and she calls 911, right? And you can hear the husband beating up the wife, and you have to go and make that call. Yeah, and a lot of times it's calm. You walk in, 911 call, knock on the door. They open. She's allowed to open the door. You go in. He's sitting down. He's really calm. And then all of a sudden, it just gets out. You get out of here. You need a warrant to be in my house. No, I don't need a warrant to be in your house. This is a 911 call. 911 family violence call. We have the right to be here. No, you get the hell out of here now, or I am going to get my gun and shoot you, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So you start to, you know what, you're under arrest, for assaulting your wife, and now the fight goes on. Nope, I'm not letting you arrest me because you're not supposed to be here. You don't have the right to be here. You don't have a warrant. Because come 1992, around 1992, when everything changed, before that, we needed a warrant to be able to go in the house.
Even with a 911 call?
Well, except the 911 call, but sometimes there.
Oh, people report
Yeah,
it.
now if they say 911, somebody reports it 911 family, it's a family violence. They're like, oh, we'll do whatever we can. 911 call. It could be that maybe it was a kid playing with the phone, right? But you can still gain entry to the house because it was a 911 hang up. But once you know it's a family violence, it's like it's a green light. It's a green light. You go in however you can. Yeah, and yeah, that's the dangerous part. A lot of times you have the father and the son that start to fight you when you have to do family violence arrest. And a lot of times was the woman who would call, will also would fight the officer, you know, because all she wanted to do was to remove the husband from there. And we go like, no, we can't just remove him now. Family violence laws that we shall make an arrest. And they were all used to, oh, officers come in, talk to the husband. Hey, man, if you leave right now, we won't do anything or whatever. We still couldn't do anything at the time. But you tell them, look, we won't arrest you if you leave. And so we go, okay, I'll leave. I'll go to my mom's or whatever, right? So now under family violence, there was no, you'll go to you can go to your mom's. No, it was like, no, you're being arrested now, and you have to make the arrest. If you do not make the arrest, then he beats up on her and kills her. Then the city is liable. Or if he beats her up and she ends up in the hospital and all that, or just beats her up, and beats her up in the face, he goes, hey, look, I called officers, they didn't do nothing. He beat me up, and I told him, that he had beat me up, and the officers didn't do nothing. They just told him to leave. So he comes back. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. Please, please. He goes in and boom, boom, beats her up. And now the city's liable.
Oh, man.
Because an arrest wasn't made.
Because an arrest wasn't made. Under the new laws, family violence law. Back in the old laws, all that was okay. Before family violence, all that was okay. Because we didn't see the assault happen.
Right.
Now it's up to the judge to decide, oh, yeah, there was an assault. Or no, there wasn't an assault. So the state would take over. Yeah, the state would, which is the police, we would take over and file the paperwork and all that. So,
Were there ever any instances where the wife was the one who was actually
assaulting the
husband or
Yes.
boyfriend?
Yeah, we had one. We get the call. We get the call on a 911 family violence assault. We go in. We're thinking it's the guy. It's a big guy, right? So we go in there. And right away, we separate him and all that, and he's got a big lump on his head, huge lump. I mean, it's almost the size of a hard baseball, hardball baseball, right? It was huge. I had never seen not that big, right? And we'll go like, what happened? Blah blah. We're talking. And finally, we figure out that the wife assaulted him with the frying pan. So one of the iron skillet. Yeah. So she hit him on the head with that, and she calls to have him arrested, right? Ooh. So that's why it kind of threw us off on that, and then we realized it was her, so we ended up arresting her, yeah, for family violence, yeah. And there was another incident on the family violence that we went through. It was an officer had already given me information that this female had been admitted in state mental hospital a couple of times. So we get the call. This is a family violence also. Hey, you have the wife breaking all the windows to the house. Need an officer out there immediately. The husband called. He's afraid of her. And I go like, oh, okay. So we get there, and yeah, she has a 2x4, and she's breaking all the windows around the house. She's a little sweaty, so I draw my weapon on her, and so does my partner. Drop the 2x4, drop the 2x4, drop the 2x4. So she drops the 2x4. So she's about maybe 100 pounds, about 4'11", 100 pounds, and she looks like really, really innocent. And she says, how can I help you, right? We go like, Okay, she dropped the 2x4. So the threat is gone. So we holster our weapons, whatever. So we need to talk to you. Can we come inside? And here's another thing. You know, the citizens need to know. Officers will always try and get you to go inside the house, and let's talk about this inside the house. If you don't want an officer to go inside your house, just don't let them. You don't have to let them go inside the house, because an officer sees anything inside the house, it can be something you can be arrested for. It's gonna happen. Once we gain entry to your house, we're always scanning, looking around. And if we see, oh, look at here, he's got some drug paraphernalia. So somebody's gonna get arrested, or we can decide to let it go and just stick with what's happening. The assault, and then in that case, that would be the assault. We didn't see anything else there. So we go in there, we take her inside, and the husband is bleeding to one side. He's like really bleeding, and we go ahead and call 911, and then we find out what's going on, and he says, no, she got mad, because I can't remember exactly what it was, some minor that he had done. He got back later than expected from the grocery store. So she thought maybe he was cheating on her. And I'm not talking about 2 or 3 hours. I'm talking about 30 minutes. He decided to go somewhere else and buy something else. Right? He comes in late. She gets upset, and she hits him in the head with the wine bottle. And we look at the wine bottle, and then that's when I first realized that, you see this in the movies where they break these wine bottles on people's head. I go like, oh my God, this is not really real. This wine bottle they're pretty thick, right? So yeah, busted his head open, and then we talked to her. My partner is on the other room, the bedroom, talking to her, and I'm talking to this guy here, getting all the information of what's going on. So I realized he is the person that has been assaulted. So I'm getting information from him, and EMS is on the way. And at this time, then my partner says, hey, you want me to go ahead and, arrest her? And because I already know, and he already knows, that she was admitted twice in the state mental hospital. And based on our training, people who have been admitted or have a mental problem, they do not like to be touched. You can talk to them and all that, but once you touch them, they can get combative. So, and I told my partner, if you want, wait. When I'm done here, I'm almost done, and I'll help you. That's all right, I got it. Right? He goes, all right. So I'm finishing up, and then I can hear, I can hear all this screaming, miss, wait, miss. And I drop my pad, and I go back in there, and he's trying to get her arrested, and she's refusing. So then I go in there and try and help, and she was our first female that we had to arrest. That's when we had started, and we were on the field on our own. So he was patrolling by himself, and I was patrolling by myself. So he was my backup. Like on weekends, yeah, sometimes you'd have a partner, but usually this happened on a weekend. So I had a partner, which was good, and it was him. So he's there, trying to arrest her. Now I'm there trying to arrest her, and she's fighting both of us. She's fighting both of us and resisting. And we didn't want to touch her in any weird way, trying to avoid touch her in certain areas. So we're trying to grab her in a certain way, and we can, and please, miss, you quit resisting, and quit, please, we're begging her, right? And she's fighting us, and then all of a sudden she runs like they had a bay window, and she was gonna jump right through the bay window.
Oh, wow.
But she had long hair, so I managed to grab her long hair, and I pulled her back. So when I pulled her back, she fell down. And then try and get on top of her to try and flip her over so I can handcuff her. And she bites me. She bites my hand, and she clamps onto my hand. I can't release it, but I had gloves on. So I punched her, and when I punched her, she released, right? And then she got up again, and we can't take her back down. And little bitty thing, but they're strong, when they're And if you can't grab them or arrest him the way we can a guy. So finally I tell my partner, let's take her down like a man, right? Well, right before that, when we're having trouble, he tells me, God damn it, he goes like, we're not worth the shit for this, right? and that's when I realized, then I tell him, man, let's take her down like a man, right? So as soon as we do that, we grab her like if it was a guy, and we take her down and fold her arms back and put the cuffs on that quick. And as soon as she felt the cuffs on, I felt her body relax, right? I
Oh.
was on top of her, felt like, oh my gosh, I killed her, right? Miss, are you all right? Yes, I'm fine. Yeah.
Calm.
Yeah, really calm. Yeah, really calm. Yeah, little bitty thing, really calm.
Wow.
Well, she made us sweat, you know. And well, then I'm gonna tell you 1,000 different stories, but let me tell you
No,
one more.
that's fine. That's
One
Yeah,
more.
no.
Right
good.
after the week after this, right, there was a mother that was drunk and trying to get her kid. So we get a call. That's family violence too, because it's a mother trying to get her son, and the grandparents said, we're not gonna give you your son, because you're drunk, you know. So we used to call her PI Sally, because she was always public intoxication,
Oh.
Yeah. So we get there, and we had to go to another call. So we tell her, look, Sally, look, go home. You live 3 houses down. Just go home, right? We have to get out of here. We have to leave, right? And no, I want my son. He's my son. You're not gonna get your son. You're drunk. You're intoxicated, right? You're not capable of taking care of your son. So your grandparents are gonna keep him. You're not gonna take him. And if we know you're back here again, you're gonna be arrested. So just go home right now, and sleep it off. And you can get your son tomorrow. No, and all this stuff. So she starts arguing with us, and so I tell my partner, I'll take the other call. So I tell my partner, I'll take the other call, and he starts to grab her, and she starts fighting. Right. So right away, I go back over there, and we take her, we grab her, we flip around, we throw her on the car, and we we handcuff her, right? And she goes, "What the fuck?" You go,
Yo, we're
"What?"
prepared.
Yes, you go, what was that for? Yeah, we were like, oh no, we're not going through this again. Yeah, well, anyway, that was it.
Oh man, yeah, over prepared, but yeah, you're definitely not gonna be.
Yeah, no,
I made it look weak again and can't take
no,
on
you can't.
a 100-pound girl.
Male, female, you have to. The arrest has to be the same. I believe the arrest has to be the same. If you try and say, okay, well, she's a female, you're gonna get in trouble. You know, so that's why a lot of times you'll see like, oh my God, why did that officer just take her down so hard, or or why do we take certain people down real hard? Because it doesn't matter on his size. Doesn't matter. It could be a big guy, looks tough, but he doesn't have any strength. But the little guy, or the small, figured woman, it can be just as strong.
Yeah.
Officers' adrenaline, we don't have it yet. They have it already. So you're fighting the person plus their adrenaline. And so by the time ours kicks in, we're already fighting. Yeah. So that's something else got to think about, the adrenaline. That makes a big difference. You know.
Oh, and as for taking them down, why don't cops, like, I know we get a lot of questions as for like, why don't cops usually like shoot to wound somebody, or if like someone's coming at them, or if they don't have a knife, or if they're not armed, but they're aggressive and they're coming at y'all, is there a justification for possibly shooting someone who's unarmed, or why can't y'all shoot to wound, like in the leg or something?
Our training is not to shoot to wound. Because if our training was shoot to wound, then we could place our shots anywhere we wanted. It would always be a shoot to wound, And if the training was a shoot to wound, what if you're to kill him? I tried to wound him. I tried just to just to hit him in the leg, but it hit an artery and he died. Or I tried to hit him in the leg and I managed to hit his heart. Because. Yeah, so now you're wide open for a lawsuit. Even though you could be open for a lawsuit, the training is, center of mass, because it's not like the TV shows that these guys place their shots, where both eyes open, you have the gun in front of you, and you're looking at him, and you're looking left, or you're scanning left and right, making sure everything's, nobody else is coming into the picture, and somebody could come from behind you. But you're just looking at him, and you have your gun pointed more or less where you think the center of mass is. You're not gonna have the gun pointed. Oh, he's coming at me. Oh, let me go move down and just shoot his left leg or his right leg, or you know what? I'm just gonna hit him in the arm to scare him. No, the guy's moving. The situation is hot. Center of mass is all you can think of. That would be the. And even when officers have center of mass and they're supposed to shoot center of mass, that's all our training is on, center of mass. Once you draw your weapon, basically you could go ahead and fire that gun. So it's once you draw that weapon and the officer feels his life is threatened, right? So it's a life and death situation. That's the only time officer will draw his weapon. Officer won't draw his weapon just because, let me just scare him off. No, it's not going to be no scaring off when you draw your weapon. It's going to be, hey, I'm in fear for my life. Or I fear this other person's life, a third person party, right? Anything that may happen to that person, I have to see that it's happening to me. So now I can draw a weapon and kill this other person. And no center of mass. I'm sorry, all center of mass. No, winging this person in the leg or, you go out there. Anybody that says that they need to get a gun and they need to purchase a gun and go and do some target practice and see if you can hit, a certain little tiny area. And you won't even be able to do it if you're calm and you close one eye to align your sights. You may be able to, but not in a heated situation when your adrenaline is going. A lot of things are going on. Oh, let me close my left eye or my left eye and see if I can hit this guy. No.
And that's them standing away. That's not accounting if they're running at you.
No, that's them standing away around maybe 20, 25 feet, 30 feet, or because once they're in this 21 area zone, that's
21 what?
21 feet. Yeah. Once they're like in 21 feet and they have a knife or something like that, then you're justified in killing that person if he's aggressive towards you with a knife, So, well, you said the first question was that you asked was why don't we just
shoot to wound?
Yeah, shoot to wound. Okay, well that's why, because there's no such thing as that. We're trained to center at mass, take down the person that is that you feel you're in fear of your life, was threatening your life. Shoot that person, take him down.
So you're justified to shoot someone 21 feet away from you with your gun drawn, or you don't have your gun drawn?
You can either way. If you have your gun drawn, usually the 21 feet is with your gun holstered, but we've done testing, or training also with the gun drawn and ready, gun drawn, pointed at the violator, and he charges at you. You can get one or two shots in, but he's already, his momentum is going, and his adrenaline, so therefore he's gonna make it to you, and he's gonna stab you. He's gonna be able to stab you, and he falls dead if you actually hit him. So that's what 21 feet is. That's why officers are justified in killing the person that you feel in fear of your life if he's armed. Now, like you said, instead of shooting them in the leg, or if you feel that I right now I don't believe I can kill this guy. I don't believe I'm justified in killing this guy. You can holster your weapon and pull, your taser out, and tase him with it. Or if you have a baton, you can use that, because you don't feel. A lot of times I did that. I pulled my gun on. Oh my God! Make sure that he doesn't have anything on his hands or what, and he doesn't have anything, but he's still not being compliant, right? So I would holster. I would from a level 3. I would holster it and go down to a level 2, which is your taser or your baton or pepper spray or whatever. So once you feel that I can, I'd rather wound this guy than kill him. Then you holster your weapon and then you taser him. You tase him. That's it. But as far as the officer saying, no, I was just shooting to wound him. No, you use your taser then. That's what's good about tasers. We didn't have tasers. Back then when I started, we didn't have tasers. I had a baton.
Mhm.
So I used that baton a lot too.
Hmm.
So as soon as they, let's say you're wrestling with someone, if they reach for your baton, what happens then? What could happen then?
If you reach for your baton and you have your baton on you, he's trying to reach for your baton, or let's say he just reached for the baton, and you can pull your weapon, you can kill him,
Mhm.
because he's an armed person already.
Or your taser too, because there was an
Or the
incident.
taser too. You can shoot him, shoot to kill. Yeah, shoot to kill, because he is trying to take one of your weapons that he can use it against you. If he uses it against you, then you're down. Then he can take your gun or whatever and kill you. Yeah, so you're justified. Officers justified, and any person on the street is justified. Yeah. So it's going home safe, going home to your family. That's what they tell us. Is that's part of the training. You go home to your family. You do it right. You do it legally. You do it right. I've seen some videos where this guy does a traffic stop. It all goes wrong. The guy decides to run because I think he's got warrants or something. So he's running. The cop chases after him, and he's firing. And he fired 8 rounds at him as he was running. Okay, the threat is gone. So he wasn't justified in shooting this guy in the back. The threat is gone. He had his driver license information. He could have done a warrant or whatever, and then let it go at that. But yeah, and we got to remember with police officers, when we're on the streets and we shoot somebody or get in a fight with somebody or whatever, it's all done in seconds. We go out there, we pull our guns, defend ourselves from getting hurt, fire this gun, kill the guy, and then everything is done. Everything happens in seconds, like maybe 15 seconds, or that happens within 10 seconds. And then the attorneys break it down to years. Okay, let's see what happened from 1 to 10 seconds or 1 to 5 seconds. Let's play this video, 1 to 5 seconds. Oh my God, yeah, he did. He could have done this. He could have done that. He could have done, and 1 to 5, and then let's play the other 5 seconds. Oh my God, he could have done this. He could have done that, right? And then they play the other 5 seconds. They could have done, so they break whatever happened to you in 30 seconds. They break it down to years, and frame per frame, see what it is he could have done different, And we only had 15 to maybe 30 seconds to decide.
Gotta make your judgment call.
Make a judgment call. Yeah.
Man, and there was one thing I heard. I saw it came out a year ago, or there was a cop where, well, the situation was there was this guy hijacked a van, and he was running over people in crowds, and he killed a few people. And then the cop who showed up, he got out of his car, and the guy in the van who was running over people got out, and he wanted to do suicide by cop. So like he pulls out his wallet really fast on the cop, and the cop doesn't shoot. So pretty much like the guy keeps pulling his wallet out on the cop like he has a gun, and the cop doesn't do anything. Like he just keeps going at the guy with his gun drawn. So he's like, "Get down on the ground!" And eventually he arrests the guy. But a lot of people were singing that cop's praise because they called him the cop who didn't shoot. What's your take on that? Should he have shot him? Was it a good thing that he went up and arrested him, or
he better thank God and that he spared him his life. That was one lucky guy right there, because if the guy already killed several people in a van, you said it don't matter, car, in a vehicle, okay. He already murdered 2 people, and the van was an assault. So this guy is a murderer. He gets out of his van. Did he have the gun already drawn on him when he got out of the van?
Yeah.
He should have. I mean, if he didn't, I don't know. This officer, I would not want him as a partner already, from what you have told me. But let's say he's got his gun drawn already, which he should have. And the guy puts his hand in his pocket, and you tell him, let me see your hands, right? And he pulls something out, which I think it could be a gun.
Right.
He already killed 2 people. And he points it at me like if it was a gun.
yeah?
I don't care if it's a wallet. Like if it was a gun, right? That's what I'm saying. Like if it was a gun, the officer says, I thought it was a gun. He killed 2 people. Okay, if he does that and the officer didn't take him down, that's a bad officer. According to police officers, yeah, nobody would want to be his partner. I wouldn't.
Because
Bullshit.
he didn't shoot the guy
Because he didn't shoot the guy. He didn't take him down. Yeah, he didn't take him down. So he should have taken him down. You know, not unless he has. I don't know. Did he have really good cover? You know.
No, he was out in the open. Like
He was
there
on. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I can understand. Maybe if he had his vehicle as cover, and he wants to take a chance.
He was
You know.
behind his vehicle the first time the guy drew, like he drew it on him, but like, because the guy who in the van, he got out, he walks to the front of the van, and he walks into the street, and he draws really fast while the cop still has his gun on him, and I guess as soon as the guy draws, I don't know, the cop waits a second, and I guess he sees that it's his wallet, and then he starts walking into the street to get closer to the guy. The cop walks into the street, and the guy's still drawing. Like he draws about 3 more times with his wallet, wanting the cop to shoot him.
Well, you know, there's iPhones, right? That it's a single shot pistol turns into a single shot pistol. iPhones.
Oh yeah, those pocket pistols you're talking about.
Yeah, no, it looks like an actual iPhone.
Wow.
Yeah, and you flip the top and the bottom, and it's a single shot gun. It's not actually phone; it's just a single shot gun. So that's why when they pull an iPhone out or any phone and point it at you, you're justified in taking them down. You're absolutely justified in taking them down.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Man, that's tough. Have you ever been in any of those situations?
Yes, I was in one situation, and I was criticized. You know, I had the arrest made. He had shot at 2 individuals, 2 teenagers. He was upset because of his wife was leaving him, and he had fired a gun at two kids. Didn't kill him, so he was driving a Cadillac. So we were aware of this guy. So I see him driving through town. So I make the call, get driver license, and there's supposed to be a sheriff's department sticker on the left rear windshield, which was identified that. Made the traffic stop. Tell the guy to get out of the vehicle, and he gets out, has his hands up in the air, and I tell him to turn around, and then he doesn't turn around. He's just standing there, and then he goes real slow to get into his vehicle, right? And I'm yelling commands, and he's not complying, right? But he hasn't threatened me. Yeah. So then, and I'm behind the door to my patrol car, and then he comes out, and I see he has some in his hand, but he's not pointing that at me yet. So you can't take him down if he's not pointing this gun at you, right? So he has some in his hand, and it's a phone, right? But at that time, I almost shot him, right? But then you have your what do you call it, Monday night quarterback? Criticizers, and hey, you should have done that, should have done that. But say, wait a minute, he didn't point that at me, but he could have. Yeah, could have, should have. There's a lot of couldas or what ifs, right? Yeah, so I'm glad nothing happened. Got him arrested, went to court for all of that. Yeah, he was found guilty and all that. But yeah, that was one situation like that. Yeah, he comes out. It was a cell phone.
It was a cell phone.
Yeah, and he had an AR-15, and he had handgun with I don't know how many rounds and stuff in it. So he was ready to do a lot of damage that night.
Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of training do you have, or do officers have, to prepare for those types of situations, like making that judgment call on?
Okay, well, I went through the SAPD Academy, and the minimum requirement for that is about 1,000 hours, right? So, and usually the regular requirements for other is about 650. You know, so yeah, all the training and everything, all the training they give you, it's all for real. And they tell you there that look, this and this. There's a lot of things that's going to happen, and we're not going to be able to, tell you everything that could happen, but it's going to happen. And yeah, but when I worked in a large city, it was a lot safer than a small town. A lot safer in a small town. But then again, I worked it through the whole new family violence laws, and that's what was the worst. But traffic stops and all that. When I had, a couple of my buddies that were ambushed, after that, it was, you were on your toes all the time, and you know, things like that happen. You're thinking like, wow, this could happen to me. You know,
Mm.
so yeah, it gets pretty scary. But it all in all, I loved it. You know, it was great.
That's good. And I just have two more questions, probably the closing ones that we're gonna
Okay.
have here. What was your probably the hardest experience, or maybe the worst experience, and then what was your best experience in those
Best
years?
best experience in patrolling is your partners. Got along real good, and you have to be able to see everything in I don't know, in a good way. I mean, not let a lot of these things get to you.
Mm.
Because sometimes it's hard. When you lose friends, it's hard. You keep thinking about them, but you should you. They kind of tell you that you need to look at everything in a positive way and kid around.
Mm.
And so we had a lot of fun, with the guys. One of my best experience was traffic stop with my buddy. We would always kid around, and we had some really good experiences. I remember uh, this county officer. He did a traffic stop, and we backed him up. There was a guy refusing to stop. So we help him stop. There's three officers, three different cars. We go over and we're trying to stop this guy, honking the lights, and he just keeps going, keeps going. But it was like around a 30-mile, chase. He was refusing. He was going like 30 miles an hour. So he gets into the small town. He pulls over because I kind of block him. And I know the guy's an older guy. I go, oh my God, it's Mr. So and so. And this had happened like maybe 3 weeks after our buddies were ambushed and all that. So we were all in kind of like high alert because we got a
Yeah.
lot of other threatening calls. Hey, we want this to happen to you,
Mm.
So we pulled the guy over, and we're there for backup. And he starts to refuse to be arrested. The old man starts to refuse to be arrested. And so then he starts to take him down, and he refuses and all that. So, I mean, he takes him down, falls down on the ground, and as we're about to go help him, his pants fall, and he's wearing panties, little red panties, right? And I was about to go and help him and back off, and my partner also backs off. We go like, whoa, 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 we're not touching this one, So he goes, come on, help me here, It's, like I said, it's an old man, but he's pretty strong, right? I said, no, you're on your own. You're on your own. So he finally gets him cuffed and all that, and he stands him up, right? So he stands him up, and his pants are still to the ground, and I'm going like, oh man, this is embarrassing. And then we tell the county officer, hey man, pull his pants up, man, pull his pants up. So the old man saying like, hey man, come on, pull my pants off, and then he goes like, like, why are you wearing panties, man? Why are you wearing panties, man? so ducks down to pick up his pants, and he has his head turned because his crotch is right on his face.
He's like,
He has his head turned. He's trying to pick up his pants, and he can't. And he tells him, wiggle, wiggle. So after he does the arrest and all that, of course, we start hammering on start telling him, hey man, how'd you like those panties? And all that. And we're making him wiggle in there. And he made him dance for you in those panties. So that was a good part. The saddest one, worst one, was when there was this man that he was coming in from, I think, somewhere down the valley, and he was on 37 and fell asleep. And the truck rolled over, so they called us over for that accident. And it was the dad was driving, and he fell asleep and went off the road. Truck flipped over. I don't know how many times. The camper, he had people sleeping in the bed of the truck. So in the bed of the truck, he had, I think, 2 or 3 daughters, and his wife. His wife was in the front with him, and a baby. So they all died. All of them died except him.
Oh.
And so he wiped out his whole family. So we were looking for the baby, couldn't find the baby. So we were looking and looking. So I decided to go way over on the other side of 37. And I found him there.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was tough to be able to see that. That was the worst thing. Yeah, that was one of the worst things.
Man.
So, yep,
But yeah, but those are far and in between.
yep.
Yeah, that's good. Yeesh. All right, well, thank you very much,
Very
Officer
welcome.
Friday, for the insight, and I'm pretty sure, hopefully, we can have you back again and some different stories
All
or
right,
a
got
different
any more
situation.
questions? Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of scenarios and why we approach vehicles certain ways. You know, and a lot of people think, well, he was being an asshole. You know, the way he was talking to me. But you know, he may reach over. Wait, don't reach over the glove box.
Mm-hmm.
Put your hands where the officer can see him. You know, and then
Mhm.
let him go ahead. And if you're carrying a handgun, let the officer know you're carrying a handgun, because he's probably gonna see that you're a little nervous, or depending on
Mhm.
how you answer questions or your demeanor and all that depends. You know, but best thing to do is always respect the officer, and you get to go home too. You might just get a warning for whatever.
That's
Yeah.
actually good. I was actually gonna say, what's some last bit of advice you have for
hmm
people, just in
Yeah, just
general.
you may hate it, may hate if you were stopped.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, just have respect for him. Give him the benefit of the doubt. He's a good officer. I would say most of them are. I worked for a couple that weren't, and I reported one, our sergeant, and with my partner's help. So he was a bad guy. So we weren't comfortable with that. So we
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
reported him to our chief, and our chief saw that it was he had to get fired.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a couple other officers like that too. But yeah, this cold blue thing, yeah, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is there. So, but yep, have
Mhm.
respect for the officer. That's the best way, and you might just get away with a warning. Other than that, the officer can escalate a Class C to a felony.
Hmm.
So it's up to you. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so just be nice to your officers.
Mhm.
Well,
Be nice.
and in return, they shouldn't be. Officers should not. There's a lot of assholes out there. That take that badge. And they use it the wrong way. But you'll know who they are, and if you ever have anything like that, you complain to. Do a formal complaint on the officer. You believe he did you wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst thing you could do to an officer. File a formal complaint.
Hmm.
All right, so there you go, guys. Formal complaints. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, and again, thank you, Officer Friday,
Yes.
and
Thank you.
appreciate the information.
All right.
All right, you guys have a good day.